Developing news tonight from a shooting that happened off campus this weekend.
Leaders in Indiana are going head-to-head when it comes to legislation over public health.
People across the nation hit the polls today, but even if you weren't the one who voted, that doesn't mean the effects won't make it back to Indiana.
And Hoosiers, how much are you paying for heat? Why experts say you should prepare for this winter.
And tonight, I will be tracking colder weather and sunny skies for this week.
Delaware County's only live television newscast from Ball State University's Unified Media Newsroom. You're watching NewsLink Indiana.
Good evening. Thanks for being with us. I'm Catherine Segal.
And I'm Kara Przuchek. Developing news tonight from the shooting incident reported off campus earlier Sunday morning. The person shot a Ball State student.
That's according to the University Today. NewsLink Indiana's Anna Chalker joins us now to take us through a timeline of what we know. Anna?
Yeah, guys, Ball State students were sent an alert Sunday morning just after midnight of reports of a shot fired in the area of Carson Street and Linden Street. NewsLink Indiana spoke with bystanders on the scene that morning. One, a Ball State student who says he heard the shots from a street away.
So you don't want to see this happening. Right. It's scary. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen really.
And at 1:38 a.m. an alert was sent of no ongoing threat to campus. NewsLink Indiana received a statement from a university spokesperson saying in part a Ball State student was the victim of a shooting incident that occurred early Sunday morning at an off-campus location. To honor the student's privacy and because the incident is part of an active investigation with the Muncie Police Department, we are unable to share additional information at this time. The University Police Department is assisting in this investigation. As always, resources at the Ball State Counseling Center are available for any members of our campus community seeking support services. And we were unable to get any information about the investigation through the Muncie Police Department, and all we know now is that this is an open investigation.
Okay, thank you so much, Anna. Okay. Indiana's Attorney General still criticizing Governor Eric Holcomb for trying to block a new law that gives state legislators more power to intervene during public health emergencies, even while agreeing that the state Supreme Court should take up the dispute. The Attorney General's office says in a court filing that it supports the Supreme Court taking over the case after a Marion County judge upheld the law last month. The measure allows legislative leaders to call the General Assembly into what it calls an emergency session. The Attorney General's office argues that urgent court action isn't needed because the emergency session procedure hasn't been used yet.
The U.S. giving final clearance tonight to COVID-19 vaccines for kids as young as 5. The CDC Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices voted unanimously in favor of giving Pfizer vaccines to kids between the ages of 5 and 11 earlier this evening. The members spent about an hour discussing before the vote. Then it was on to the CDC's director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who gave the final say. They say the shots can start right away.
Muncie residents may not have hit the polls today, but others across the country did.
And despite it being an off-election year, decision voters made today may have major ramifications for the political landscape across the country, including the 2022 midterms and the 2024 presidential contest. Like in the New Jersey governor's race, a win for Democratic Governor Phil Murphy would be the first re-election in the state since 1977.
And in New York's mayoral race, it's not just about the Big Apple. Eric Adams is expected to be a lock, and top Democrats have pointed to him as a case study in how the party should go forward. But one city speaking out today on their election, those voting in the Virginia governor's race.
This is where Democrat Terry McAuliffe is facing off against Republican Glenn Youngkin. The race is considered a gauge of national political sentiment heading into the 2020 midterms. Minneapolis has a police referendum on the ballot. What happens here could serve as a test of the police reform movement.
Over a year after the murder of George Floyd by a police officer, today's amendment would create a new department for public safety to replace the Minneapolis Police Department. The potential move have some voters concerned about what it would mean for policing in the city.
Canvassers are spreading out in a final push to encourage people to vote yes on ballot question number 2 in Minneapolis. That reads in part, shall the Minneapolis City Charter be amended to remove the police department and replace it with a Department of Public Safety?
It's really setting the table, if you will, for policymakers in the future to come forward and say what should be in the public safety department.
It's not abolishing the police department. It's not getting rid of police officers.
There are certain functions in our city that can only be done by licensed police officers. That doesn't change whether this amendment number 2 question passes or not.
In the aftermath of George Floyd's murder, there were calls to defund and even dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department. A year and a half and over 20,000 petition signatures later, those ideas aren't quite on the ballot, but organizers say needed reform is.
Slogans get really popular. We also know that slogans are not policies. It does not abolish the police department, does not even really dismantle the police department. What it does is it makes it possible to expand it so that it becomes the Department of Public Safety so that you can add other qualified professionals to it.
They hope the new department will include things like mental health professionals and violence prevention counselors, but the ballot doesn't quite include specifics that can only be hammered out if passed and after the newly elected mayor and city council are sworn in. And the chief of police has concerned over the lack of specifics.
And I was not expecting some sort of robust, detailed word-for-word plan. But at this point, quite frankly, I would take a drawing on a napkin, and I've not seen either.
But for those canvassing, they say the needs are plain.
If it's not going to be any officers that can relate to what we go through out here, absolutely, prejudice, racism, whatever we're up against, they got to be able to directly relate to that.
This armed police only response that we have isn't working.
Amendment passes, current elected officials will have 30 days to name an interim commissioner of new public safety department.
But a newly sworn-in mayor and city council would start the process of finding a permanent commissioner and staffing the department's programs and services.
Indiana's consumer advocate for utilities is urging Hoosiers to brace themselves for what's expected to be the most expensive winter heating season in years. The Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor says state residents can expect to see the highest winter natural gas spot prices since 2007 to 2008. This following a recent forecast by the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Indiana Utility Consumer Counselor Bill Fine says Hoosiers who are behind in their utility bills or are worried about their ability to pay should contact their local utility now to make arrangements to spread their winter heating costs over the rest of the year. They can also take steps to reduce their energy use. Well, it's definitely been pretty cold outside lately, and I know you said you were excited for that, so how are you feeling, Catherine?
Well, I did really want the cold weather, but I definitely wasn't ready for my winter coat to be brought out.
Yeah.
Rachel, what can you tell us about the weather?
Yeah, I think we really transitioned into those colder temperatures quite quickly, but looking here, we can see that our current temperatures are pretty chilly, almost down to freezing points. 40 degrees here in Muncie, almost below or almost a freezing down in Bloomington at 33 degrees. Most of the areas are sitting in the mid to upper 30s throughout areas today in the state. And looking here at our radar, we had some clouds passing through, moving northeast. Those will dissipate by the night tonight. We're going to be left with some clear skies throughout our night. And then looking here at our radar, all of these dry conditions are due to this high pressure system that is sitting in the area and that will stay in the area for the rest of today and the rest of this week and into the weekend. And as we look here at what I'm going to be tracking in my full forecast, we're going to see sunny skies this week, a dry start to November, especially compared to October, and then a warm up ahead in my full forecast.
Thank you, Rachel. After 2 years of live streaming during the COVID-19 pandemic, Ball State Choir's live performances with a full ensemble are back. While some things are coming back, others are changing, with 2 of the 3 groups working towards inclusivity with gender-neutral names. The Statesman group changing its name to Cardinal Chorus, while the women's chorus will now perform as Vox Anima. Cardinal Chorus director Dr. Alyssa Harris says the change has been coming.
This was something that was in the works since before COVID, and then COVID just gave us a really good opportunity to make some changes.
World leaders are looking at climate change at the COP26 Climate Summit.
And some are still struggling to catch a flight. All the latest in moments.
Riding the bus is an easy thing to do. Last year, we carried 60,000 riders from the Ball State area. 50,000 of those were students. Anywhere you want to go, Mitts will take you there.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back. As world leaders begin their talks on climate change, success here will mean compromise if they're to agree on a deal to curb global greenhouse gas emissions.
Host British Prime Minister Boris Johnson opened the COP26 climate summit with a stark message.
It's 1 minute to midnight on that doomsday clock, and we need to act now. If we don't get serious about climate change today, it will be too late for our children to do so tomorrow.
The nations represented here have been given an ultimatum: agree and execute concrete measures to stop global temperatures rising more than 1.5 degrees Celsius or face the consequences. After years of failing to tackle global warming, climate campaigners calling for a change are angry and skeptical. U.S. President Joe Biden pledged America, as one of the world's biggest carbon emitters, would lead the way.
We'll demonstrate to the world the United States is not only back at the table, but hopefully leading by the power of our example. That's why my administration is working overtime to show that our climate commitment is action, not words.
The president of China, the world's biggest carbon emitter, sent only a written statement saying, quote, his country would rein in the irrational development of energy-intensive and high-emission projects. But a sobering wake-up call came from India Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who set 2070 as India's target to reach zero carbon emissions. That's decades later than other polluters, pointing to how difficult the process would be for developing nations.
It's billed as the last best chance to address the climate crisis.
Some American Airlines travelers are still feeling the effects from a weekend hit with cancellations and delays. The airline says 430 flights were canceled yesterday. That's about 7% of its total flights. Some passengers being delayed for hours, while others were told they couldn't fly home for days. American Airlines blaming the weather last week, including severe winds, saying it took crew members out of their regular flight sequences. It says around 1,800 flight attendants will be returning from pandemic leave, and that it plans to hire around 4,000 more employees by the end of the year.
But for those lucky enough to catch a flight, a warning that 5G phone service could negatively impact navigation equipment. The Federal Aviation Administration says using 5G service in flight could interfere with altimeters. They tell pilots how high an aircraft is by bouncing radio waves off the ground. The problem is 5G service operates on the same spectrum. The FAA and Federal Communications Commission are involved in an ongoing dispute about how those frequencies are allocated, and are telling pilots to remind all passengers the importance of turning off cell phones during flights.
Well, I know it was pretty rainy and windy this weekend. I was not a fan of that cold combination.
No, it was horrible to go outside and you were cold, but then you would get wet too. It was not fun. All right, let's send it to weather with Rachel.
Yeah, just how cold will we get before we see that warm up this weekend and next week? Tune in for more on my full forecast later on in the show.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
there's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Emotes say a lot, but they can't say it all. Think your guildmate is struggling? Try these dialogue options. Go beyond emotes. Check in with your guildmates at seizetheawkward.org.
Every day,
Millions of people are connecting
and even though we're overcoming obstacles, watching each other's backs,
and banding together.
we should still make an effort
We should still make an
to
effort.
get to know each other.
On a deeper level. Father.
Cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
It's time we take a step forward
It's time we take a step forward. Come together.
and discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Welcome back. It's currently 9:16. We're looking at a live shot of campus. Today, the leaves were changing. It was very pretty. Rachel, are we going to see more of this?
Yeah, we're going to see more of these colder temperatures, and we also started off November dry as well. That is different compared to our October precipitation amounts. We saw an observed amount of 6.48 inches. That is 3.52 inches from normal. So we definitely saw a wet October, but November has so far been dry for us at this time, and this is all due to this high pressure system that is lingering around areas of the northeast, and there are some rain showers off to the south, but those will not be affecting us today or later on this week. Now zooming in here, we can see that some cloud cover passed over the area earlier today, but that cloud cover will dissipate throughout the night tonight, leaving us with some clear skies for the rest of the evening. Looking at our temperatures, we are cool throughout the area. Some areas are almost down into freezing. 34 degrees in Lafayette, 40 degrees here in Muncie, and 41 degrees still down in Evansville, so they're sitting pretty warm, especially compared to areas of the state. And looking here, we can see that tonight we're going to cool down even more. 31 degrees for 2 a.m., 29 degrees by 5 a.m., so make sure to make time to defrost your windshields in the morning because of that frost. 49 degrees for our high tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. And as we look at tomorrow night, we're also going to have some widespread frost, low of 32 degrees. And looking at our 5-day temperature trend, we're going to see those warmer temperatures by the weekend, and as we move into the week, we'll possibly also see some 60-degree temperatures, so very warm compared to what we've seen this week. Climate Prediction Center says possibly we will see above average temperatures for this time of year, possible below average temperatures in the western part of the country, and that can be seen in our 7-day forecast with the last couple days of our forecast here in our mid 7-day forecast. 40s throughout the week this week, but by the time we reach the weekend and next week, we'll see those sunny skies, but possibly seeing upper 50s and 60s for next week. So I really hope that cold weather stays, but I'm also kind of excited for that warm weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited for the warm weekend. Thank you, Rachel. Now let's send it over to Charlie with sports. Well, actually, Rachel, it's actually going to be I'm really excited for the warm weather. Do you have any fun plans for this weekend?
I don't, but I think it'll be a great weekend to go outside and have an event or something like that.
That'd be great. Now let's send it over to Charlie with sports.
Ball State football is back in action tonight, and we will provide updates on how the Cardinals are doing and one sport starting up its first exhibition game of the season. Find out who next in sports.
Here's your sandwich, miss.
Oh, thank you.
And your burger.
Awesome, thank you.
And your bowl of boiling water, sir.
After retiring from the NFL, I've been able to spend a lot more time coaching my daughter's basketball teams. It's something I love to do. Through our games and our tournaments, we see all types of coaching, good and bad. And it begs the question, do we really know who's coaching our kids? Do they have the proper training and screening it would take for me to be comfortable with my daughters playing for that coach? Our Youth Basketball Association made the decision to use trusted coaches to screen and train all of our coaches. I'm a trusted coach. Are you?
So if one cat has 4 kittens who reproduce every 6 months, how many cats will there be in 5 years? Who's got it? Is this... What is that? Seriously? Who threw that?
Cats are terrible at math, but they sure do multiply. Please spay, neuter, and adopt.
The solution is 10.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Charlie Cronin with sports. As the temperature starts dropping, the winter sports start playing. After starting their practices 2 weeks ago, men and women's basketball are now set for their first scrimmage against outside competition for the season. On November 3rd, Worthen Arena will take down the volleyball nets and lower the basketball ones. Women's basketball taking on the Mighty Oaks from Oakland City University at 4 o'clock. Then the men's team will follow suit when they play the Michigan Tech Huskies at 7 o'clock. The last time these two Cardinals faced off against outside competition was in mid-March. The women's squad lost to Ohio University 59-61 on March 10th, and the men's team fell short to Toledo 91-89 on March 11th, both in the first round of the MAC tournament. Both teams bringing in new members to the Cardinal family. Women's basketball brought in 3 true freshmen and 4 transfers, while the men's team also brought in 3 true freshmen and Indiana standout and former Stetson commit Luke Brown. Women's volleyball has been spiking their competition, winning 12 straight matches and a few athletes gaining MAC honors for their performances. Junior opposite Natalie Mitchum brought home MAC West Offensive Player of the Week, and freshman setter Megan Wolanski took home MAC West Setter of the Week. With the help of their great games against Bowling Green on Friday and Miami, Ohio on Saturday, the Cardinals are atop the MAC standings with a 12-1 conference record. Their next match is Thursday when Central Michigan comes to town. Ball State football back in action tonight against Akron after a weekend off after falling short on homecoming the week before. A win against the Zips tonight would put our Cardinals above 500. Currently, the score of the game is 28-10 with the Cardinals in the lead. As sectional football started on Friday night, the Delta Eagles were looking to fight through rainy conditions to defeat the Fort Wayne Generals to advance to a sectional title game. The Eagles starting the game well, scoring early with a good rushing attack. The Eagles also played great defense, holding the Generals to 0 points in the first quarter. However, the Generals came back to fighting back with 28 straight points in the second quarter with a great rushing game after struggling in the first. The Generals went into halftime with a 14-point lead as the Eagles were trying to fight back. The Eagles were able to cut the lead to 7 coming out of halftime with a 46-yard touchdown pass from Caden Bond to Parker Faltic. With the conditions too rough and the lead out of their hands, the Eagles couldn't fight back into the game, losing 40-27. With a nice 4-2 start to the season, the Eagles finished the season with a 6-5 record after a heartbreaking defeat. Head coach Chris Overholt proud of his team for what they did throughout the season.
Really, no one gave us much opportunity, and we had to earn and dig and really just bite for everything that we were going to get this year. And our seniors, really proved that in the last 3 weeks, where we didn't end the season where we wanted to, but because of our mentality and because of our belief in one another, we were able to do pretty good things in the run here.
So isn't it great to see our Cardinals back in action tonight?
Yes, I'm so excited. I hope are they in the lead? Do we know?
Yeah, they're winning right now. They've got like a 18-point lead as of right now, as last time we saw. So.
Well, that's awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah.
Hey, a win right now that'll put us at 5-4. That's that's better than we have been doing. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not quite as good as last year though.
No, but it's still good to hear.
Yeah, I know the game I went to, the homecoming game, they didn't win, unfortunately, but I'm very glad that they're in the lead now, and hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, that homecoming game was a crusher. The interception in the end zone at the end of the game, it was sad.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll have a final check at weather after the break.
That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Can you help me?
I got it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Just like the rules to surviving Zombieland, there are steps you can take to be prepared for an emergency.
It's the right thing to do.
Talk with your family to make a plan. Look for safe areas to meet up if separated. And stock up on supplies. It's never too early to get prepared, so start now.
Right now?
Right now. You can't predict emergencies, but you can be ready.
You're welcome, America.
Visit ready.gov today to learn more.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. Time for us to take a look at what's trending.
Joining us now is NewsLink Indiana's Brittany Slack. Brittany, what do you have for us?
Yes, the 5-day festival of lights known as Diwali is in full swing in India. During the May celebration, more than 1 billion people across 5 faiths worldwide will exchange gifts, spend time with loved ones, eat, and pray. Diwali typically happens in October and November, but the dates change each year based on the Hindu lunar calendar. This year, Diwali will be on Thursday, November 4th. And later this month, people will gather together in front of their television. Cardi B is taking part in what is described music's hottest night of the year. The entertainer will host the 2021 American Music Awards Sunday, November 21st. It will be held at the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles. Cardi B, who is a 5-time AMA winner, released a statement saying she is, quote, excited to be invited to the host event. The AMAs are the largest fan-determined music awards show in the world, and the show will be seen in more than 120 countries and territories. I'm definitely excited to watch the AMAs.
Me too. I'm really hoping I can actually find a place where to watch them, because sometimes I struggle to find it on like streaming apps and stuff. Yeah, it can be hard, but I'm hoping to be able to watch it this time.
And I'm excited to see Cardi B host. I think that will be very cool to watch.
Definitely going to have to get some snacks and gather around the TV with friends and family and just watch different people perform.
Oh yeah, I love the performances. They always make me happy seeing live music.
Yes, me too. And thank you so much, Brittany. And a final look at weather with Rachel.
Yeah, guys, we're seeing some colder temperatures in the upper 40s, but by the end of the week, we will see these warmer temperatures.
And that's all tonight for NewsLink Indiana. Be sure to join us again tomorrow night at 9, streaming live on the NewsLink Indiana Facebook page.
And for news anytime, anywhere, go to ballstatedaily.com. Have a great night.